Well, this week's issue, our main piece is an interview with Dr. Stephen P. Cohen, and he is a leading expert in Pakistan. In fact, he's called the Dean of Pakistani experts. Now, I'm just going to stop right there for a second, because every time you say an expert on Pakistan, people start rolling their eyes, and I'm one of those people who start rolling their eyes, because nowadays just about everybody who's read 4 articles on Pakistan, especially in the West, considers themselves to be an expert on Pakistan. Most of them really don't know what they're talking about. But Dr. Cohen is a notable exception to that unfortunate rule. He's the author of several books on Pakistan, the Pakistani Army, the idea of Pakistan, and this interview in particular sort of revolves around the latest work that he's edited and put together, and it's called The Future of Pakistan. It's a compilation of essays by different experts, some in Pakistan, some in the US, some in India, all tackling different parts of really the puzzle that makes up this country of ours. Well, actually what's interesting about this interview is that we actually received it a couple of weeks back, and one of the main things that Dr. Cohen talks about is this sort of difficult, to put it mildly, relationship that the civilians and the military have historically had in Pakistan, and their particular mindsets and the fallacies of those particular mindsets. Now, it's interesting that we chose it for publication right now, because as we're all aware, the last couple of weeks have really sort of thrown that schism between the civilians and the military into sharp focus. So he has a lot of interesting things to say about this sort of civilian-military dynamic. One is that the army cannot effectively govern Pakistan, despite the impression of many people that they can, because simply that's not the job they're trained to do. Secondly, what I personally take from this interview is that he is clear that people have to be allowed to fail. You know, you elect a bunch of people, they fail, you kick them out, you elect new people. You know, we believe that the system should perfect itself overnight, and overnight in a historical perspective is not even 4 years. We may want things to be okay next week, next month, next year, but you know, guess what, it doesn't work like that. For a system like democracy to work, to mature, I mean, for God's sakes, in the West it took 100 years. In India it's taken 60, and only now are they approaching the kind of maturity that takes countries forward. Do we really expect it to happen in 2 years, in 3 years, in 4 years? No, it will take a long time, but we have to have the patience. Unfortunately, given the kind of situation that we find ourselves in, it's very hard to have patience. So what he looks at is, I mean, unfortunately, he does make some predictions. They're bleak, and they also, due to the complicated dynamic of Pakistan, they have to be sort of open-ended and vague. He does, in fact, quote this US official during the time of the Soviet Union, saying that I don't know what's going to happen, but when it does, I will explain to you exactly why it was inevitable. So that's really where he's looking at it.